Okay, so after talking to Red about the video, he said that he thinks that I should um, give um, measurements for each person, but I'm gonna one up that, and I am gonna explain why each fell where they fell or experience wise. So I reordered smallest to biggest, so I'll go smallest to biggest. So smallest, this is the one that I was talking about that I only had one experience with him. It was a good experience, but again, uh, we weren't really on the same wavelength. So in that sense, we weren't super compatible, and that was mostly why. It was also a little bit like because I'm like narrower set, like this naturally without penetration. It like there's a lot of slippage because he was a very girthy in comparison to most people, I feel. So that was a little bit of an issue for him and I. I can see that not being an issue with other people just because not everyone is as narrow set as I am. Um I ate a carrot yesterday, so I'm going to use reds as an example. And also, I added a piece onto it yesterday, so it looks haggard because it's been on the counter all night. Anyways, so the other guy is maybe about here. He was on the lower end of the list because he was a very selfish lover. And I say that in the sense where, like, he would get on top of me, would fuck, and then that would be it. He didn't care if I came. He didn't care if I had a good time. It's like, he would ask me if I had a good time, but what am I gonna say to him, really? Like, no, I need, like, I mean, I should have said these things, but I was like 20 or so, I was fucking stupid. But, I didn't want to say, like, I didn't get off, like, can we do something else? So, I mean, now I would say that, but at the time I didn't. So for me, he was on the lower end because he wasn't, like consciously trying to make sure that I was, um, taken care of, I guess, as well as him. I'm not a princess. I can take care of myself. But anyways, side note. The next one, and these are not width representative. I hope you guys realize that. But this one is the one that I said was my preference out of all of them. Um, Part of the reason for that is because he and I dated a long time, and we had a long time to get used to each other, and we really got into each other's heads, not just uh like it wasn't superficial sex, I guess is what it was. But even when it was superficial sex, even when we started having sex, he was still already really amazing at it. Like he just I think a lot of it was confidence. Like he knew what he wanted and he went for it. And to be fair, I didn't always get off with him either. But that's part of my preference as a person. Like I don't necessarily always care if I get off, which is weird for some people because some people think that's unrealistic. But for me, it doesn't. For me, it doesn't always matter. Sometimes it does matter a lot to me, though. And the point I'm making is that he did a good job of making sure that when I wanted to, um, I did get off. So, uh, next person. Okay, so this one is the next person. He and I dated for a while, and again, the first time we had sex was awful. I don't know why. Like it was really bad. The second time we had sex was amazing. So, just in general, I guess like maybe he wasn't confident the first time. Maybe it was just awkward. It's possible it was awkward, but in general, our sex life was really good. We had sex a lot. Um, it's just really satisfying. So that's why he goes to the top. And emotionally, I'm very connected to him as well. This guy was a part of the negative experience. This guy, again, not because of his dick. Sex wasn't particularly bad, but his attitude towards me and sex was really bad. Like, he was completely blatantly using me and has continued to try to use me, which I have not let him do, but he's tried. So that guy goes really fucking far down the line because he sucks. This guy is this other guy, sorry. But he was a really nice person, and I really liked him, but we didn't really have a great, like, wasn't a really good, like, I don't know what the word I'm trying to use here. Like, we just didn't work very well together. Like, he wanted different things than what I wanted, and, he was good in bed. It just wasn't very good for me specifically. Like objectively, he was good. I just wasn't into him that much. So that's why he went a little bit farther down the line too. This one this is now just below average for the record. This one, he was good, but I wasn't into him. Like, he kept stealing my moves, and I was annoyed by that, and it wasn't that I was annoyed, it was that I was like trying to figure out how I would fit in that situation because we were too alike. So it wasn't really that he wasn't good, it's just that I wasn't into him. This one, he was hung up on his ex, which is fair, and I completely understand that, but it made sex not good for me. This one is, again, rounding around average. This one, he was good, but he was kind of a jerk to me, so he kind of went down the scale, but sex was generally very good. A little bit selfish at times, but not too bad. This one was at the end, because this one was an awful, awful experience. He was not, sexually, we did not get along, like, at all. He was kind of an a-hole in general, and for some reason, I was, like, really lonely, so I put up with it, which was not a good idea for either of us, to be fair. This one was just a really awkward encounter. I was very young. I think I was maybe 20 years old, 19, 20 years old, and I don't know, he wasn't he was not for me. He said some things that kind of made me cringe, kind of thing, but it just wasn't good. It just wasn't good for me. This one is a long time friends with benefits. For the record, he thinks his penis is very small and is very concerned about this in general in life and has slept with a lot of people regardless of that fact. So it's kind of confusing to me, and it's probably going to be confusing to you because it's obviously not very small, but it's average, literally on the average. So I put him somewhere in the middle because I enjoyed sexual encounters with him, but we really didn't have sex very much, and when we did have sex, it hurt. Not, maybe because of, I don't know, maybe because of a few things, but it hurt. So this one is the one that I said was the guy that I last slept with. Also, my order on the first video was a little bit wrong. This one was second last, and it should have been last. The carrot fell, and I moved it, and I guess I forgot to put it back. But anyways, he was good overall. Like, I specifically said, like, please be gentle because I don't want to die after this. But in general, he was just very gentle, and it was just good. So I didn't have any negative effects, and it was all fun. This guy is just a tiny bit bigger than him. And this guy, he went really far up the scale because him and I had a very, very, very good emotional connection. And the reason why I said Red would go high up the list is because this guy and I had a very good emotional connection, like very closely alike to the relationship I have with Red. So I feel like emotionally this person went very high because of that reason. If I was only going based on his penis, then he probably wouldn't be as high. but I don't know. I only had sex with him once, and then I had a panic attack and scared him the fuck away. So that's why I'm talking to Red. Right? That's also part of the reason why I'm talking to you guys. But I'll go into that in more detail at another time. So this guy was also in the list of the worst, and he's in the list of the worst because sex was okay. There was pain afterwards. I was a little bit sore. But he went in that list because he did something that is borderline rapey and like after we first had sex. So just in general, his attitude towards me sexually was not okay, and I don't like that. So he went pretty low down the list. This one is my first boyfriend, and shit went down with him, and it didn't like it was abusive in a lot of senses of the word, not necessarily sexually abusive, but I think if I had stayed with him long enough, it would have became sexually abusive. So he got put real far down the line, only above the guy that was a complete and utter asshole to me. But yes, that's why I went so far down the line. Also painful. Definitely a lot of painful sex. This one is the biggest one and the last one. He goes to the end because it was very awkward. He's a very nice person. I personally very much like the person and would get close to the point of saying loving him, because he's a very kind and awesome guy. But it's just sexually we didn't really match. Like thrusting, he would fall out because he was just so much bigger than me, and I don't know, it was awkward, to be honest. It was very awkward, and yeah, that's why I ended up at the bottom. Like, I don't recall being in pain from him, but I could see if he wasn't such a kind person and gentle person, then I probably would have had that effect very easily. Also, sorry, this isn't really, my arm's getting tired and it's getting really wiggly. So anyways, that's the list. I'll probably post the numbers just because it's hard to tell with a carrot next to my face. And I hope that helps, and I hope you guys cheer up. I hope you guys have the opportunity to cheer up. Right now, you probably don't have that opportunity, but in time, you will. So, anyways, bye.